All right, so we're gonna see if we can do this again. I would appreciate, I'm just a little gun shy after last time when we did this. We didn't get any sound on that last one. So if you got any problems, let me know and we will restart this one. But hopefully that will not be the case here. So you can just leave a message there, just leave a comment if you're not hearing any sound there. But this is Dr. Osborne again. Looks like we're gonna try this again and see if we can get this thing working. I'm going to, I guess what we're gonna start off on is the question is that if I theoretically had COVID-19 or tested positive, what would I eat? And I said, all I know is this, is that we got to get it done in 21, right? Like, I know it's cheesy. It's really never too early or too late to really work towards being the healthiest you. So when I get on these videos, I don't try to be inspirational or motivational, but I do believe that words have power because you see the way that you think and feel about yourself, and including your beliefs and your expectations about what is possible for you, it literally determines everything that happens to you. So when you change the quality of your thinking, you change the quality of your life. And many times the moment you change your thinking, the quality of your life starts to change instantly. So just as positive words can make someone smile, or a well-timed humorous quote can make someone laugh, our thoughts react to the world that we live in real time. And so you only have complete control over one thing. That's one thing in this entire universe, and that's your thinking. And that's where the power of words come. So I think I'm just going to double check to make sure that we are able to get live sound with people here. So just let me know if you can't hear anything there. But other than that, we're just going to kind of power through this. So I'll give it just a few more seconds for everybody to jump on there. And then we're just going to let her rip. Okay. So there we go. She figured out. She missed your video announcement. Okay. Well, thanks, Dee. All right. Well, let's get started. So I think that the main thing is this. So let's say that theoretically, if I tested positive for COVID, what would I think, right? But I think that I'm going to die, and that what others do, like others have done, or do I think I'm going to do what I have to do to live, right? So the same thing that you do to get healthy is the same thing that you would do to stay healthy. So what would I eat if I tested positive for COVID? Like, I've actually gotten that question so many times over the last week. Everyone's talking about like these precautions that you should take to lower your risk of contracting COVID-19, and the practices that you should like enroll in, like things like, putting a mask on there, practicing physical distancing. I choose to call it physical distancing rather than social distancing. Washing your hands, staying away from other human beings. I mean, every news outlet is out there talking about a vaccine, right? But not enough people are really talking about your diet and how healthy habits can actually help, right? So I guess what I call it the news of the weird, right? In October's edition of the International Journal of Clinical Practice, they examined this question, and that is scientists examined it, not politicians, mind you. But the question that they asked is, the Pfizer vaccine actually have the capacity to destroy an immune system? What? So every person who's actually received the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine has actually not received a vaccine. They've received a therapeutic and they enrolled in a clinical trial to see if it was actually safe, because we actually skipped animal safety studies and then just rolled out this vaccine to millions of people with zero liability. So I guess we're all guinea pigs, but here is what they were discussing. So according to the study, they were examining how informed consent is given to COVID-19 trial participants. And that's what you were if you got a shot in the arm. You're a trial participant. And whether you received, whether you knew it or not. Like, the journal article actually discussed the fact that disclosure forms actually failed to inform volunteers or people that actually got this experimental therapeutic, that it might make them susceptible to a more severe disease if they're exposed to the virus. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me just repeat that back to you for a second. So what they're asking was, did you know, or did somebody tell you that there's a possibility that if you get the vaccine, you're much more likely to have a massive immune response if you're actually exposed to the virus, as opposed to like a detrimental or dangerous immune response? Just a little thought there. I mean, I don't know if anything would surprise me anymore, right? Do you remember when they said that you had to have 2 shots and now 1 is okay? They said that you had to have the second shot within 4 weeks, and now 6 to 8 weeks is okay. They said never ever mix shots because we haven't even done any research to find out if they're even safe to be able to mix them. And now you can do whatever you want. A little Moderna here, a little Pfizer here, throw in a little AstraZeneca for, as a dessert. If the others aren't available. Look, Fauci said we need 50, no 60, no 70, no 80%, 90% vaccination for the herd immunity to occur. And now they've actually changed the definition of what herd immunity is. I mean, herd immunity has been a process that occurs when enough people acquire immunity to an infectious disease such that it can no longer spread widely in the community, right? So here's the new definition, right? So if you want to change a problem, just change the definition of what the problem is, or change the definition of what success is. The new definition as of October from the WHO is that herd immunity is known as population immunity. And it's a concept used for vaccination in which population be protected from a virus if a threshold of the vaccination is received or reached. So let's just talk about this for a second. What did people do before there were vaccines? Wasn't there something called herd immunity, right? Like, what have we been doing for the last, have the wrong definition? Like, was it only after we actually developed the vaccines that the vaccine definition of herd immunity become the number of people that got vaccinated rather than the number of people that got exposed and build their own immune system there? Look, herd immunity is achieved by protecting people from a virus. Like, that's what they say, and not exposing them to it. That's crazy. Like we want to protect you from the virus, but instead of like allowing you to be exposed to it. The problem is this, guys, is that your immune system, it's not designed to get vaccines. It's designed to work in response to an exposure of an infectious agent. So apparently, according to the WHO, that's no longer the case. Everything's different. Biology changed. The thing is that this perversion of science implies that the only way to achieve herd immunity is via vaccines, which is just blatantly untrue. I mean, the startling implication for our society, however, is that they're putting out this information and they're attempting to change our perceptions of what's true and what's not true. The problem is this leads actually people believing that to be healthy, they must artificially manipulate their immune systems as the only way to stay safe from an infectious disease. I know I kind of digress from the initial question, but back to the news of the weird, right? So immunity, they said that immunity develops through, in the past, through previous infection in the way that it's, worked since humans have been alive, right? Your immune system isn't designed to get vaccines. It's designed to work in response to exposure to an infectious agent. So previous corona vaccine efforts, including those for since I've been in practice, like SARS and MERS and RSV, they had a real serious concern. The vaccines actually had a tendency to trigger antibody-dependent enhancement. We call it ADE. And ADE means that rather than enhance your immunity against infection, the vaccine actually enhances the virus's ability to enter and to infect your cells. What it does is it results in a more severe disease that had you not been vaccinated. What's interesting is that these type of vaccines that they're doing right now had never been released to the public. They've been working on them for a decade, but they haven't been able to figure it out. And then somehow magically, by bypassing all the safety trials, they said, hey, there's no problems now because we don't have to pass any safety trials, so we'll just put it out into you. The other thing is that there's something called what's called the Lethal Th2 of Immunopathology, and this is another potential risk. There's a faulty T cell response. What it's going to do is it's going to trigger what's called allergic inflammation, and poorly functional antibodies and they'll have these poorly functional antibodies that form these immune complexes that activate the complement system, which results in airway damage, right? It damages the airways, the respiratory tract. My concern is this: there's evidence showing that the elderly, the people that are the most vulnerable to severe COVID, they would be the people that need the vaccine the most, but they're also the most vulnerable to like ADE and Th2 immunopathology. Look, did they tell you this when they gave you the vaccine, right? Did you read the papers that realize that you're involved in the largest vaccine research project, and you're actually in the part where they do animal study, where they normally do animal studies to see if it was safe, right? The vaccine is they're finding it's not very, but it's effective at reducing symptomatic disease, right? And we talked about it the other day that maybe it's as low as 19% effective, according to British Medical Journal, and maybe it's higher, but it's certainly not that 95% that they've been telling everybody. But according to John Hopkins, their Center for like Health Security in Maryland, this is what they said: is that they said that you are an asymptomatic carrier for up to a couple of weeks after receiving your experimental immunotherapy. And unfortunately, it hasn't been shown yet to actually even spread the transmission. So be prepared to mask up and to wave to people to continue. So what does one do? So I have a great idea. Stay healthy. I mean, I've received so many requests for what to do here. So the first thing that we want to do is adopt a diet that reduces the underlying conditions, such as the advanced plan, the one that we teach in our office, the one that we teach all the time. It's right in your Align Your Health book there. If you don't have a copy of that book, you can go to my store on drtjosborne.com, drtjosborne.com. You know, but high insulin is linked to these pre-existing conditions such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, obesity. I mean, there are other pre-existing conditions too, but these are like the big ones, right? It's important to note that all these conditions have one common denominator, and that's going to be high insulin. Why? Because insulin controls sugar by lowering sugar in your bloodstream. So if you have too much sugar, it's going to just be instantly converted into fat and cholesterol. And that's why sugar is one of the biggest culprits in regards to obesity and high blood pressure there. On top of that, when we think about the excess insulin and insulin resistance, it's going to cause type 2 diabetes. And sure, it's the biggest source of a lot of these health concerns there. And you can literally lower your insulin by doing what we talked about, like even a year ago at our makeover, like we were talking about intermittent fasting, right? We were talking about and keto. Good news is there's a simple way to do it with to deal with the high insulin. You can go to our keto plan. Just text me at 408-985-1111 and type in NewYou. We'll send you our keto perspective. We'll also send you a link to register for the upcoming makeover, where we really do a deep dive on keto and intermittent fasting. And if you do need, we can send you more information on like maybe last year's New Beginnings makeover. But we're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be doing a deep dive at the New Year NewYou makeover. So text us 408-985-1111, say NewYou, and we'll text you that information. So it's all free. We're all in this together. And so that keto diet, it really is or the advanced plan is really a low carb, moderate protein, and high fat diet. We call our version, a lot of times people call keto. I just call it healthy keto, because a lot of times you can do something to lose weight but get sick in the process. Like eating bacon is not part of any healthy diet, right? So our plan involves a lot of vegetables, which can help you maintain a balanced diet, and it can offset many of the concerns that people usually have with the keto diet. In general, high fat diets, high fats in a diet are totally fine to do as long as you keep your carbohydrates low. Getting on this diet is a great way to help support healthy insulin levels, and will help you address the underlying conditions that we talked about earlier. The other thing is eat foods with the 3 most important nutrients. Now, one other thing I would also do is incorporate these as far as supplementation. It's like zinc and D and vitamin C. Incorporate those into your diet, but also supplement them, because there's a huge association between having enough zinc in your body and having the immune system work properly. The RDA, which they say it's the recommended daily allowance. I call it the recommended death allowance, which means they try to keep you from actually the least amount you can take to actually not get sick, right? So the RDA for zinc is around 8 milligrams for women and 11 milligrams for men. In my supplement that I have, the Zinc Plus, it's got 30 milligrams in there, and I'm suggesting that people, especially if you're deficient in it, that you actually take, double if you can there. I'm going to just plug my laptop in here a little bit. Hold on one second. See, I'm definitely not a pro here. I just want to get this information out. Okay. So zinc is literally involved at every single level, every single part of your immune defense. And so when there's a lot of foods out there that have the highest concentration of zinc, those things are like oysters and shellfish, red meats and cheeses. Doesn't mean that you need to go eat like meat and cheese diet, but there's other foods, but these are probably the 4 that have the most zinc. What's interesting is that zinc is also, when somebody's zinc deficient, they're actually their testosterone levels go down, their sex drive. Isn't it interesting how we all think that we should eat oysters to keep our sex drive alive, but maybe it was just a zinc deficiency. It wasn't it wasn't having a weakness of virility there. So, but zinc's also important very important for supporting a healthy thymus gland. We don't talk a lot about the thymus gland, but the thymus gland is the training camp for our certain immune cells that help fight the coronavirus and other diseases. So it's important, if you're deficient in zinc, your thymus might actually shrink and your immune system weakens. Okay, I love vitamin D. This is the next one. This is the one thing that I make sure that I have enough of. The RDA is around 600 units. You can get it from things like cod liver oil, salmon, fatty fish. But that said, there's a couple things. Number one, it's generally difficult to get the amount of vitamin D that you need through these foods. And that's why I recommend, you get enough sun. But the problem is that you need to have about 20 minutes of noontime sun in which you are taller than your shadow. And that makes it really difficult right now in like California where it's raining, or in other parts of the country where it's raining. According to Vitamin D Council, you should typically take on just minimum standards is about 1,000 units for every 35 pounds of body weight. So I guess the question is why is vitamin D one of the most important nutrients? It's an immune modulator. And what that means is it keeps the immune system from overreacting and causing so much inflammation. That's why other countries have actually, they'll use it in the emergency rooms in the hospitals for COVID patients. Like Ireland, I think at one time was recommending to all of their population that they actually start taking vitamin D. And question is where's our FDA, right? They're the ones that all they're regulating is the drugs, right? They forgot that it's food and drug. Like they've forgotten about us because you can't patent a food. You can't patent vitamin D. Nobody can make money off of vitamin D the way that they can a drug. But the good news is that what vitamin D does is it stops your immune system from overreacting and causing so much inflammation and so much collateral damage that collateral damage is the thing that damages your lungs and your other tissues. It's in what's called, you've probably heard of this, is the cytokine storm. So in other words, I think the big thing is vitamin D is super important for keeping your immune system balanced, and it's something that you should really keep on the top of your mind if you're feeling sick. Certain viruses like coronavirus or the norovirus, they have a strategy, listen to this, of deliberately blocking the receptors for vitamin D so that they can better attack your immune system. Now, fortunately, the remedy is fairly straightforward. Just take enough vitamin D that can actually override that so you can keep your immune support at a high level. Last one, vitamin C. Finally, you got to get enough vitamin C, period. Vitamin C is so important in supporting a healthy immune system, especially when you're dealing with viruses. You get a lot of vitamin C in what we call foods by God, the leafy green vegetables, but you can also get a lot of it in things like sauerkraut and berries. You can get up to 700 milligrams of vitamin C from sauerkraut. Isn't that crazy? But what and I think the thing is that we on the last video we talked about bowel tolerance, but we want to make sure at times like these that we are definitely sufficient, because there's two things that cause there's one disease, and that's a sick cell. Two causes of the sick cell is going to be deficiency or toxicity. So if you're toxic in something, by definition, you're going to have sick cells. If you're deficient in something, you're going to have sick cells. So how are you going to try to heal if you're deficient in something? And so that's why I bring these things to you. You have to eat the right foods. And a lot of times, because of the foods that are so depleted these days, we are going to have those deficiencies. So now that doesn't, I think the one thing that I really want to go is there's a lot of foods that have vitamin C, but the more you cook your foods, you're likely to deplete them of nutrients like vitamin C and D and zinc. In fact, there was a study that I was reading about with canned foods that decreases the effectiveness of zinc by 85%. Think about this. Like, remember I talked about foods by God and foods by man. A lot of times when man tries to get into a food and they process it, they literally destroy it. So when you say I'm eating healthy, the problem is if you're not eating healthy with raw foods, you're going to be deficient, and you're by definition, because you're deficient, you're going to have sick cells. And if you have enough sick cells, guess what? You'll be sick. So the other thing is if you think you're gonna like take man's way of getting vitamin C through orange juice, you're going to be mistaken. First of all, the companies pasteurize, or they use high temperatures in the processing. What that does is that cooks the orange juice and destroys all the natural vitamin D. So the only vitamin C that you actually wind up consuming from that orange juice is usually just coming from an added synthetic version called ascorbic acid. And it's my opinion that ascorbic acid is not the same as vitamin C that you get from actual fruits and vegetables. By the way, the sugar in the orange juice actually prevents the vitamin C from binding to your immune cells. So when you think that you're getting your vitamin C to stay healthy by drinking orange juice, the high concentration of sugar in there binds to the receptors on your cells before the vitamin C can, and now you can't even mount a good immune response. Last thing, and I'll keep on talking about this, but reducing stress. Lastly, I think we got to talk about stress, and it's not even a dietary choice, but it certainly is a day-to-day lifestyle choice that you need to think about. I mean, I know it's going to be hard to believe, but some people are actually stressed out nowadays, right? They're actually stressed out, and like maybe for the last year they're stressed out. I would suggest that most people were stressed out probably for their whole lives. You know, I remember reading something that said that we take in as much information on a daily basis than the average person did in the 1400s throughout their entire lifetime, right? We've just gotten used to it. We think it's our normal stress. If we were to jump in last March into the stress that we feel right now, we think we were crazy. We think we're losing our mind. The problem is that stress increases cortisol, and that chronically elevated cortisol, as in long-term stress, it's going to significantly affect your immune system, and it causes your lymphatic system to shrink. Your lymphatic system is what carries white blood cells to an area of infection. It also takes those toxins away there, and it makes your lymph node actually decrease in size. It decreases antibody production so that you lose your ability to fight infection. Like, think about this. This is what stress is doing to you. Watching the TV, watching the news. Like, remember we talked about the power of your thoughts. If your thoughts are that Corona is stronger than you are, you're literally shrinking your immune system, your body's ability to actually fight that Corona. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Look, like I said, the main thing is this: is that stress increases our susceptibility to getting viruses and bacteria. So we don't want any of that, right? That's why I actively and aggressively do what I can to keep stress to a minimum. And that would include not watching the news, right? There are so many messages that are all doom and gloom and bad and over fear, these messages, and they increase stress, and they really make an individual more susceptible to getting an infection when compared to someone who's not in such a state of worry and anxiety. So if you look at those people with COVID-19, I was listening to something once that said that you could actually trace back the people that got sick. You could actually trace back to right before they got the infection. And they had estimated that nearly 100% of the time they had a stressful event. Think about that. Stress is a huge trigger, not only to being susceptible to a virus, but also in activating viruses that are already inside your body. And that explains why when people get stressed, they get things like shingles, they get herpes, and all sorts of health issues. So I am absolutely 100% recommending that you limit stress if you're concerned about getting viral or bacterial infections. So in short, here's my recommendations. Get on the right diet to minimize the underlying conditions, right? Get away from, fix the obesity, fix the diabetes, fix the high blood sugar there. You gotta fix it. This is a health issue. This is a life issue. And gone are the days when we can procrastinate for, this diabetes is a sometime thing that I get to manage. I'm just a little bit overweight. I'm a little bit obese. I don't have time to take care of myself right now. It's a right now thing. It's a life or death thing. And we have to get to those underlying conditions. Number two, make sure you eat foods that are high in the three most important nutrients, like the zinc and the vitamin and the D3 and the vitamin C, and reduce stress. Look, if you text NewYou to 408-985-1111, we'll send you the link to the makeover. It's free. Okay. You'll get all the resources that you need, all the challenge material, everything that you need to take your new year to a new level there. And I think that we'll also make sure that you get the keto perspective. But I want you guys to know a lot of us have taken our good health for granted, and we don't truly appreciate what amazing, complex, highly effective, functioning things our bodies are until it's too late and we get sick and we're old and our bodies start to fail us. And so when our bodies are good, in good working order, we're healthy, we're fit, every aspect of our life feels great, and we feel good and we look good. And this health contributes to our happiness and living a good life. Your body is your most priceless possession. So go take care of it. It's never too early or too late to work towards being the healthiest you. And just remember this, I always said the body is the vessel by which the soul experiences earth. I heard a great quote the other day that said, a healthy body is the guest chamber for the soul, and a sick body is its prison. So guys, I just want to thank you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. If you have any questions, just let me know. But just hit that share button. There's somebody out there that needs to hear this information. If this is something that you like, just hit a like. Let me know what inspired you, what you'd like to hear more of. This is our time together. It's not the Dr. TJ show. This is the us show. This is the Health Tribe. And I want to make sure that we are addressing the questions and issues that you want. Like you said, I'm fine. I'm healthy. I exercised this morning. The only thing that was a challenge was that I was positive. And so remember, healthy people, they become positive and they stay healthy. Unhealthy people, they become positive and then they get sick. Sick people get positive, and what happens? They get really sick or they die. Guys, let's just stay healthy out there. Let's stay healthy. Let's put an end to the epidemic one person at a time. Let's start counting the numbers of people that stay strong and healthy. Share this, like this, comment. Let me know what you want to hear about in the future. And I just want to thank every single one of you. And I think that you guys are the reason why we do what we do. All right, blessings, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.